Welcome to This Week in Crazy America. This week we have some incredible stories for you. We have the very disturbing fake cop hanging in Florida, an unorthodox carjacking in Queens, a horror movie set up in Harlem, and the incredibly lucky lottery coin. Now, before we get into the stories, please take a moment to press the subscribe button below and sign up for the weekly updates of stories that we put out every Friday, and for the other videos and stories that are published by Crazy America throughout the week. Now, without any further ado, let's get into the stories. So, possibly the most disturbing story of the week was out of Florida, where this hoax cop hanging was revealed. So what happened was that police responded to reports of a suicide, and they raced to a location on Interstate 95 in Jacksonville, and they found a corpse, or what looked like a corpse, apparently dangling in a noose from a bridge. So it was pretty worrying. They got up there, but the body turned out to be a mannequin in a police uniform with a pig's head attached to it. Pretty distasteful, and certainly it was disrespectful to the boys in blue, to put it mildly. Obviously, we know a lot of this kind of thing has been going on in recent weeks, but this was particularly unpleasant. Anyway, the culprits remain at large as we record this update, but we'll stay on top of the story as usual and bring you any further news that we get. Now, the battle over masks is getting increasingly fraught across the country. We know that some people are happy to wear them, some people don't like wearing them, and a lot of people push back. We've had people detained by the police for not wearing masks in certain places, and many others publicly shamed in shops and other public areas for their lack of a face covering. But this week, I think we saw a new level of resistance. In a viral video, a middle-aged gentleman decided to fight back, literally. So this was down at a Walmart in Orlando. And so this guy used all of his strength to force his way into that Walmart store without a mask, past the flailing arms of a worker who tried to stop him, and also with other shoppers saying, "Come on, man, just put the mask on." Now, the rebel was later accused of spitting all over the place. He didn't spend long in the store. He was obviously ostracized as a pariah for being there without a mask, but I guess he did make some kind of point. Now, another wild story saw a very unusual and terrifying carjacking. So down in Queens, what happened was that rather than bundle the driver out of their seat, this would-be carjacker simply sat on top of the driver, who was already in the car, and drove away with this poor woman in her 60s pinned beneath him. So the suspect was a man named Tomaj Dimek of Queens. He was apparently not satisfied with the dollar he received from the victim for a panhandling attempt. So rather than just mutter that he was unhappy and walked away, he decided on a spontaneous carjacking. So Dimek jumped into the car, jumped on top of this poor 66-year-old woman, and just drove away. And he led the police on a chase all the way into Pennsylvania with a terrified lady pinned underneath him. Thank God the police got Dimek eventually, but that must have been a very harrowing experience for that poor lady. So staying in and around the Big Apple, this was a particularly horrific, strange story. A bloody brawl in Harlem this week resulted in a man ending up with a meat cleaver seemingly embedded in his skull. Now, the twist on the story was that rather than being incapacitated, as you might think, the victim of this, a guy named Roberto Perez, was merely walking wounded. So a crazy Instagram video shows him strolling into the ambulance, as cool as a cucumber. It's just that he's got this massive butcher's knife sticking out side of the top of his head, and he's got a shirt covered in blood. In fact, Perez looked more like an extra on a horror movie set rather than a real crime victim. So it did look very strange. So police said the butcher's knife didn't fully penetrate Perez's skull. He was just incredibly lucky. It went in deep enough to stay embedded there, but not enough to seriously harm him. And obviously that's a good thing. Still, it's going to hurt in the morning. Now, New Hampshire femme fatale Arielle Dupuis was finally caught after a 2-day manhunt. And in a strange and disturbing case, she and her partner in crime are alleged to have kidnapped a man before robbing him and tying him naked to a tree. Cops nabbed her accomplice, Ronald Betances, first, but slippery Arielle managed to evade them for far longer. It seems a pretty open and shut case. One question, though, when you look at the mugshots post-arrest, how did she get those red marks? Were they in the struggle? Or does Arielle just have a terrible skin condition? I guess we'll find out. So heading over to South Dakota, this is a particularly horrible story. We saw some legitimately sick behavior in another very worrying case. A couple have been accused of child abuse. They're alleged to have used an electric cattle prod on their 4 kids. And not only that, to have given the children various drugs, including meth and marijuana. Apparently, their defense, or what they said to the kids, was that they forced the drugs on them. Check this out, folks, to discourage the kids from taking those substances in the future. And then the cattle prod was, I guess, to discourage them from doing anything they didn't want them to do. So we see a bit of carrot and stick going on. At any rate, this is certainly an unorthodox parenting style, and that's putting it kindly. It's pretty despicable. The couple deny all the charges, and the trial continues. Finally, this week, one Michigan man has been enjoying some incredible luck. Everyone is asking just how does this guy do it, right? So for the second time in 3 years, Mark Clark, the name of the gentleman, won a 4 million lottery scratch card game. And for the second time, he did it using the same lucky coin given to him by his late father 10 years ago. So we've only got one request. Mark, if you've got some time on your hands after counting your 8 million in winnings, we've got a scratch card here at Crazy America. We'd like you to come over and work your magic on. So that's all we've got time for you this week, folks. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Bye for now.
Well, we used to know that damn